Welcome everyone, 55 and 5, episode 14, Ian, Cary. This is the only game on YouTube, Cary, where we have 5 minutes to tell the folks who are watching about the 1955 Parkhurst set.
Even the New York Jets were able to win 2 games in a row. I'm rivaling the losing. They've passed me. I'm on a losing streak here of no information for like the last 3 to 4 cards, but that's okay. I'm learning, and if you're going to stump me again, it's okay. I'll learn again.
I appreciate it because this is a lot of fun for me. Again, the Cliff Notes version, I haven't watched this before. Bought the 1955 Parkhurst set. This is a set comprised of wrestling stars from the 50s, sometimes early 60s, sometimes the 40s. And these are wrestlers that Cary and I might know from our research. Sometimes, like Tex McKenzie, Cary's even seen them live. So this is intended to bring out some stories from Cary, intended to bring out some wrestling history. Sometimes, though, it's a stumper. And for the stumpers, I have a safety net card here that has information on the wrestler on the card because, like I told Cary before, even Alex Trebek didn't know all the questions on Jeopardy, so I myself have prepared just in case we get in a bit of a jam. And this one's interesting because it's our second man in a suit, Cary. Yes. we had the great Tex McKenzie in a nice vest. We had Antonina Rocca in a gi.
And a few episodes ago, who was the guy with the valise, the Englishman?
Oh, yes, that was Alan Garfield.
Right.
Big-time English star. So on this episode, we're going to take a look at this man, and I'm going to hold him up. Because Cary and I are both verbose, we have only 5 minutes to tell you a little bit about this man. Cary, his name isn't apparent, and the suit, I'd say, can kind of mask him. So if you do know him, maybe take a look there. As Cary does that, I'm going to start the clock on 5 minutes. I hope that's a good laugh. Who do we got here?
I can't even pronounce his name, let alone dispense information. Ovila Asselin?
Ovila Asselin, yes.
Sorry, folks. Now, a name like this, you would think if I knew something, I would recognize this name.
Sure.
But once again, I'm a doofus.
No, you're not a... I'll tell you why you've probably never heard of this man.
Why is that?
His nickname was Mr. Quebec. So unless you're following the great Montreal territory, we talked about, I think it was Eddie Quinn, right, the promoter there. Unless you're really following that, you probably wouldn't know Ovila Asselin. So that's probably the first misstep. Are you familiar with 1972 Alabama wrestling at all? Gulf Coast.
I'm familiar with that, but I'm just not... Did he always wrestle under this name?
Yeah, so he always... Well, no, in fact, that's a great question. He wrestled as Ovila Asselin in Montreal, but his first big opportunity came in Minnesota under the name Guy LaRose.
Okay.
So, or Guy, it's probably Guy LaRose. And that came in the Minnesota territory in NWA Minnesota. In January 58, he got a world title shot, NWA title shot, and that was in Paris. He took on, he took on Luthez there, and he always, he has had a history of wrestling Luthez. He had some big bouts though, and this is what was interesting in my research. Guy LaRose, he would take on Giant Baba in Chicago, which is kind of a huge bout. Pat O'Connor, Antonina Rocca, Valentine. He would take on Greg Valentine's father,
Johnny Valentine.
Gorgeous George, Fritz Von Erich. And he would also do this. He had a third name. And this is also probably leading to some of this confusion. He wrestled under the name Bobby Brown. So none of those 3 names rung a bell for me either. So that was interesting. And so from 47 to 63, he was pretty active, a good 16-year run. And then things get hazy. He just kind of disappears, at least from my record keeping, from the internet, from looking on newspapers.com. Can't find much. Bobby Brown is kind of a common name, doesn't pop up too often. But he turns up in Alabama in 1971. So...
Well, I was going to say, if he wrestled in Montreal in the early 70s, I'd be on the phone with Bushwhacker Luke because Luke was there in
Right.
70, 71 when Andre the Giant first, Jean Fer first came over, and he might know this guy, but he wound up going to Alabama.
He winds up in Alabama in 71. In 70, this is the craziest part to me. He wrestled, according to this, he wrestled like 6 matches in 71 and 72 in Alabama. We know the records aren't completely full. We know there's events that go on that weren't in the newspaper, that aren't on these great sites like Cage Match, which does a phenomenal job of trying to keep all these records. We know that there are things missing. But according to this, 63 to 70, no one kind of knows what's going on. 71, he's in Alabama. 74, he's in the tour of Japan. Now, keep in mind, he was born in 28, so at this point, he's 46 years old at this point. He's fighting Rusha Kimura in the IWE, which is one of the federations that splinters in 81. He gave a great start to guys like Dynamite Kid and so on. Splinters in half in 81. Half the guys go to All Japan, half the guys go to what becomes New Japan. It leads to the Invasion angle, which is the inspiration for the NWO. So, as far as I'm concerned, Ovila Asselin invented the NWO.
He must have had some behind-the-scenes kind of power,
right?
I think, to just show up in Japan suddenly.
Yeah.
Maybe he had proteges. Maybe he was sort of a mentor type. I'm just guessing.
Right.
I need a guy like Al Getz, who does charting the territories, and does this intensive research, because there's a lot of as you say, there's a lot of holes with these wrestlers, and stuff gets copied and pasted, to that might be incorrect. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying your information.
No,
it could be, So if an incorrect date or an incorrect place where the guy is supposed to have wrestled, it could get copied and pasted to these other sites.
Sure.
So the incorrect information gets spread out. Right. Thus, I know nothing.
Well, and I mean, he did compete under 3 names. One of them is very common, Bobby Brown. Who knows if those records got shuffled around, if there was more than one Bobby Brown, which there likely was. Again, Ovila Asselin, not a common name. You'd think you'd remember that, but only really wrestled with that name to what I could find in Montreal and the Quebec territory. So, interesting guy, wrestled all the big names of his time and then some, and got a late career tour of Japan and against some pretty heavy hitters.
I'm going to hit up Pat Lepard because he must know this guy.
I think he would have to. I mean, this, like you said, he seems too influential to not. I mean, to go to Japan at 46 years old to face some of the top young wrestlers, that's an interesting wrinkle at the end of his career. So we'll hit up Pat Lepard, we'll hit up Al Getz, see if we can find out more about Ovila Asselin.
Well, maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Cary, we're coming on episode 15. Who are you hoping for? Who are you hoping to hear?
Anybody I could talk about without sitting here. Whatever, we'll hit a few somewhere along the way. Give me a little person or something.
We have a couple of those. Yeah, there's a couple of little beavers in the set.
Oh,
right. Spoiler, but yeah, that'll be a 2-parter because he's on a double card. Okay. So it's like one of those great 60s baseball cards where they have the number 1 guy from each league. so that was Ovila Asselin. I have to look at it every time to make sure I get it right. But learned a little bit about him today. And if you know any more of it, put it in the comments here on YouTube, or if you're watching on Instagram TV, we know a lot of people are. Leave a comment down there. Hopefully Pat Lepard will come in handy. Hopefully Al Getz will chime in. And hopefully you're having fun with this, because I know I am, Cary.
So am I.
All right. This has been 55 and 5, episode 14. We'll see you next time on episode 15.